Hello, and welcome to English and Immigration, your source of information about Canada. On this channel, we're discussing the realities of Canada, what life is really like in this country, and how to successfully adapt to it. So today, we're talking about preparing for your immigration, preparing for what to expect, what you need to know psychologically so that your adaptation will go smoother. As you know, immigration is a really big, important life event. And this event will bring a lot of changes to your life. So when you're aware of what kind of changes, it makes it easier. So, for example, your network. You have a lot of friends and relatives and people like neighbors, co-workers, somebody who you usually talk to, usually is around you. Now, all of this would be gone if you moved to another country, not just Canada, any country. So, your friends, your relatives, your neighbors, your co-workers, all these people, maybe dozens of people, will suddenly be gone from your life. You'll find yourself alone. Maybe with your immediate family, with your spouse, your children, maybe with your parents. A lot of immigrants eventually bring their parents. But just being aware, just being prepared that there will be a moment when you feel very lonely. And knowing this will help you to get through it. You will find new friends eventually. You will find new coworkers. You'll find people, but it takes time to rebuild your network. Now, the best thing you can do to deal with this problem is to start rebuilding that network as soon as possible. The reason children don't suffer as much as adults is because they're put into schools. And in schools, they have people around them. They have other students. They have teachers. They have right away a new place to belong to. Adults, not so much. Adults may be staying at home or they're looking for a job. They don't have a job. So the best thing you can do for yourself once you arrive to Canada, to find a volunteer job. Maybe you'll be there once a week, but you'll be somewhere, you'll be surrounded by people. The best thing is to actually do this every day. But if you cannot find or you don't want to do volunteer job every day, you still need a place to be surrounded by people, communicating with people in a meaningful way. You'll adapt faster and easier. You'll make friends. You'll make new social, personal ties and connections. So that's number one. The number two reason why people don't feel good about immigration is they don't prepare mentally for some of the challenges. And then what they have is the unmet expectations. If they didn't know much about Canada and they thought, oh, it will be easy for me to find a job, it will be easy for me to make new friends. And then they come to Canada and they start looking for a job. And they have good education, but they cannot find a job. That's an unmet expectation. The expectation was that they'll be able to find a job quickly. Another one, so you want to make friends and you think it will be easy, I'm friendly. And suddenly you realize that Canadians don't make friends the same way. Or people from other countries don't make friends the same way. That's an unmet expectation. There are several ways of dealing with it. Now, one way is to find people in the same community as you, same country, same nationality. They will make friends with you the same way you used to. Another way is to know about how Canadians make friends and how they communicate with their friends and do it the new way. So that's about unmet expectations. Now, another challenge that people have in Canada is the change that comes with the new socioeconomic status. Now, what does it mean? Now, economic means money, right? So what happens is, in some countries, not all, but in some countries, if you say you're an engineer, then you earn a lot of money. Enough money to pay people to clean your house. And you come to Canada and you realize it's not possible in Canada. You have to do all the housework by yourself. You clean your house, mop the floor, do the laundry, do the shopping. Because in Canada we have minimum wage. For example, in Ontario, minimum wage is $14 an hour, which means you'd have to pay somebody $14 an hour if you want them to come clean your house. So that's a change. Another economic change would be the cost, the price you pay for things. Maybe in your country you're used to eating a lot of fresh vegetables and fish. Then you come to Canada, you look at the price of fish, and you're shocked because fish is really expensive in Canada. That's a socioeconomic thing. But again, you can be ready, you can be prepared for this if you know this in advance. So another challenge for people is the change to new cultural system. Now, that's a big topic in itself. We're not going to cover it in all the details here. But if you watch our other video about the iceberg, you'll know what I'm talking about. Again, it's a problem if people come and they're not prepared. It's not a problem if you come prepared. So learn about the iceberg. Learn about what's on the top of the iceberg and what's on the deep level, underwater, hidden. So if you are aware of what to expect, if you are aware that Canadians do things differently, they build relationships differently, they find jobs differently, they raise their children differently, their attitude towards seniors is different, they show respect differently. If you are aware, then you're prepared. Then you learn the new way and you're okay. Now, next challenge is the change in the family power dynamics. Now, what does it mean? You have to be prepared for the change of family roles. Usually, in your country, when you're there, there's grandparents, there's parents, and then there's children. And children have the least power. What happens in Canada is children learn the language very fast. They learn about the country very fast. And suddenly that knowledge gives them a lot of power. And their parents often need help from their children to understand things. And grandparents, if they come, they are helpless, they're powerless because they don't speak English. And they need help to go anywhere. So suddenly, from this, everything becomes this. Again, be prepared, and you'll be fine if you know what to expect. Now, the last thing I'm going to mention here today is the so-called identity crisis. And I know it sounds bad, but again, if you're prepared, you'll be fine. It's very rare to find any information on this, but it's really big. Every immigrant goes through a degree of identity crisis. So what it is you start asking questions. Who am I? Because before, you had a position, you had a place in your culture, in your family, in your society you had a place. Maybe you were a doctor or an engineer and you were very, very respected. You had status. In your family, you were a parent, a mother or father or a grandparent. You had a status. You had a high position. And suddenly you come to Canada, you don't have a job, your children speak better English, and suddenly you have no position. And for some immigrants, that's a crisis. That's a terrible, terrible, painful thing. But it doesn't have to be. Because you have a new identity now. Once you moved, what you are now is an immigrant. So I am, not I am a doctor or I am an engineer. I am I Canadian? Am I Russian? Am I Italian? Am I Algerian? Not anymore. Your nationality is not one, but two. Your culture is not one, but two. Immigration makes you richer. But you need to realize that. Immigration makes you stronger. Again, you need to realize that. So once you've become, I am an immigrant, that empowers you. And you won't have any crisis. You'll just feel good about it. Now, that's the last one of the challenges of immigration that you need to prepare for. So I hope you find this video helpful. Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.